Hello everyone, and welcome to another Music of the Month. First I want to apologise for not putting this one out yesterday. I was supposed to, but I had to wait for a delivery, and that delivery came, but it dropped by next door because the bloke didn't even check if I was in the house, so I could take the delivery. So, yeah, but I'm doing it today, and also I did a lot of jobs today, so I was a bit sweaty, so I've showered, I smell nice now, so that's why my hair's a bit wet, and we're not going to waste any more time. Screw it. We're just going to get right into the music of the month, and we start off with Baroness Golden Grey. I think this was. Oh yeah, by the way, the grading system is still here to stay. And I thought this album was good, but I feel like a lot of critics are heaping way too much, and the album to me was just. Well, it was good in small doses. So it was way too much of a slog, and there was way too much filler material in it. There was way too much what is known as wanking in like the musical sense, which is way too many instrumental tracks. There's like 17 fucking songs on this thing, and there doesn't need to be that many. It's not really a great moment. It's not really a great way to start the Music of the Month episode. I'm gonna give this a solid C. Like, I wasn't as huge on it as a lot of other people seem to be. I do realise that there was good stuff there, but the production was shoddy and it wasted way too much time. It did way too much than it had to, you know? I feel like it could have been a lot shorter, a lot of it could have been cut out. But yeah, for my first Baroness album, I might stick around and listen to more of their stuff, but I think I should have actually listened to their previous albums before this one. But yeah, there you go. Next is The Beautiful Monument with I'm the Reaper. And I thought this was pretty decent female fronted, like metal rock sort of thing with really good production. Actually, I like production on this album. It's really good. My main issue with this is like in comparison to Baroness's Golden Grey, which came out like 3 weeks before the Beautiful Monuments album. Um, I'm the Reaper is a bit short. It's only got 10 songs on it, so there's that. And while it doesn't have nearly as much filler material, and while I do enjoy it more, I also wouldn't peg it as an album of the year candidate. I'm going to give it a B, yeah, a solid B. I do actually remember enjoying the album. Cracking me knuckles, excuse me. I just thought it was, it was quite enjoyable. It was really, really good. Once again, wasn't great, but I liked it a lot more than the last one. Next, it's Calm Be Christ with One Fire. Uh, um, my first Calm Be Christ album. I'm familiar with the band by name. I'd never listened to a full album of theirs before. Never really found the chance to. Lovely cuppa. And it was okay. I'm going to give it a C+. I feel like the potential was there to make something a bit heavier, and I feel like the band, for their usually aggressive style, I feel like they were a bit too afraid to go to those areas at certain points. I wanted a bit more oomph from this album, and I was a bit let down by it, if I'm being honest, but it was alright. Next is The Dangerous Summer with Mother Nature, my first Dangerous Summer album. By the way, a lot of these are my first albums by certain bands. And I thought this was alright. I thought this was pretty good. Really good sort of like emo pop punkish sort of thing. I like that it was a bit more of an existential album for a pop punk band. It was a little bit different. However, there were points of it that dragged on, but it wasn't a terrible album, so I'm going to give this one a B as well. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. There are a few flaws that keep it from going higher, but it's still a good album. It's probably one of the few I'd recommend. Next is Dollskin with Love Is Dead and We Killed Her, a lovely little reference to the happiest man who ever lived in Nietzsche. And I thought this was really good, like female-fronted punk metal rock mix. The Dollskin have a really good mix of genres, and they actually handled them all quite well. I just wish this album, much like with Comic Crush 1, stayed a lot heavier at certain points, but I definitely prefer Dollskin's album to Comic Crush 1. Comic Crush 1 Fire, rather. Yeah, I thought this was pretty good. Solid all around. Not groundbreaking, but still pretty good. Probably another solid B, if I'm being honest. Next is Heart of a Coward with The Disconnect, my first Heart of a Coward album. I I feel like this album could have been a lot longer, to be honest. I wanted more from this album. I actually remember quite enjoying it. It's really, really good metal, like really, really good, like balls out style, just heavy hitting metal, and I really, really enjoyed it. I just wanted more. And it even finished with a semi-decent cover of Feed My Frankenstein, which I thought, I thought it was actually pretty decent. But there you go. I'm gonna give this one probably B plus. Let's elevate a bit, B plus. Once again, not album of the year, but actually really, really do remember liking it. Next is John Floriani with Sin. For those who know John Floriani's name, he's best known as for his side project Little Brother, and his main band Trophy Eyes, who released an album last year, which was the first time I listened to by them in the American Dream, I think it was called. And I wasn't a particularly gigantic fan of that album, but it was alright. And I sort of feel the same about Sin. I probably prefer Sin over the American Dream. Really solid, like, bluesy, punk, folky sort of stuff. Really open and honest, as to be expected from John Floriani. Even though I haven't really listened to his stuff for a long time, I've listened to enough of it to know that he really wears his heart on his sleeve, and I actually sort of appreciate that about him. So, I'm going to give this one also probably a B. B minus. It was alright. It was right. Next is L7 with Scatter the Rats, my first L7 album. We're going to get to a point where it's not just that. Actually, no. Oh, Heart of the Cow is the Disconnect. Oh, I got mixed up there. Heart of the Cow is the Disconnect doesn't have the Feed My Frankenstein cover. That's a band we'll be covering a bit later in the video. I got them mixed up now. Heart of the Cow is the Disconnect was more it was still pretty good metal though. So still I guess the same rank. B, good B. I thought I'd clear that up before continuing. Now, back to L7 with Scatter the Rats. Female-led grunge, and it sort of drags on quite a bit in places. I wasn't a particularly gigantic fan of this one. It was really slow. It had decent lyrics, but the production and the instrumental work put me to sleep half the time. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I'm gonna give it a C minus. I really, really wanted this album to live up to quite a lot more. I just, it was. Next is Low Key with Soundtrack to the Struggle 2, his third album. I know that sounds like a joke, but it actually is his third album. His comeback album after his last one in 2011, I think that one came out. And Low Key, still kills it. He's one of the best rappers to ever come from the UK, in my opinion. And as someone who doesn't listen to a lot of rap, but, quite enjoys the style that's more serious, and considering that Low Key is, very, very politically active, not just in his lyrics, but in his life, I really, really enjoy this. I'm going to give it probably an A minus. I haven't listened to it as much as I'd like to. I've only heard it once, but I do want to listen to it again because it was really, really good. Just solid. I really love the production on it as well. Really great guest experiences. Solid, good stuff, and my first Low Key album. Now, finally, and I think the only one on this list, we reach a band where this isn't the first album I've listened to by them. It's Motionless in White with Disguise. And Motionless in White are pretty damn good. That doesn't really need to be said though, does it? Because people know how good they are. Oh, that's better. But yeah, absolutely really, really good production, really good instrumental work and lyrics, really heavy. It's Motionless in White. They're really, really great at what they do, and they're always adding new depths to what they can do and what they can pull off. And I really, really like it. I'm going to give this one a B+. I super duper enjoyed this. It was pretty solid stuff. Next, though, one I've been wanting to talk about through the entire video, and it's a shame that the band's name technically starts with an R, The Raven Age with Conspiracy. Now, this one came out back in March. Oh, I should also point out L7 Scatter the Rats came out in May, and Low Key Soundtrack to the Struggle 2 came out in April. Just checking out this name. Oh, no, okay, so this one came out in March. And, it's a metal album with hardly any screaming, but, oh my god, it's really, really good. It's really good. It clocks in at about 58 minutes, so that might seem long, but considering the pacing, the production, the fucking charisma put into this album, And it's metal with no screams, and I actually quite liked it. I'm going to give this one probably an A+. I fucking really enjoyed this album. I was actually listening to it earlier, and it was sad when I had to cut it off halfway through because I was when I was done with the dusting, then I had to hoover because I don't want to have the music on when I'm hoovering because that would just make the sounds conflict. But yeah, absolutely recommend you picking up Conspiracy by the Raven Age. Super, really good metal, really good old school style, and I really hope that the band breaks away from that stigma of the fact that that one of their guitarists is the son of Steve Harris from. Is it Steve Harris or George Harris? The bassist from Iron Maiden. He's his son. I really hope this band breaks away from that mold, though, because this album is fucking brilliant. I highly recommend it. Really good. Really good. Next is another album that came out in March, Teenage Bottle Rocket with Stay Rad. Now, Teenage Bottle Rocket are an old school American pop punk band, and I thought this album was good. It was a bit short, but then again, that's to be expected by them. And Teenage Bottle Rocket is just fun to say. I wasn't a big fan of this one though. Like it had some pretty good instrumental work, and I think the production was actually pretty alright. But there were there was a few moments where it sounded like the band were just sort of insulting other bands. I remember this line that they said about Deafheaven, about Vans Warped Tour last year, and I was like, dude, Deafheaven put out one of the best albums of 2018. What the fuck are you on about? Which I still recommend, by the way, from last year. Deafheaven's Ordinary Corrupt Human Love. Really good album. But yeah, this was... I don't know, like... There's a sense of fun to it, but it seems almost too childish for a band who's been around as long as Teenage Bottle Rocket have. I'm going to have to detract some points, but I will give it a B- for its sense of fun. I don't really appreciate what's within the album, but it is still worth a decent listen, I guess. Next is Upon a Burning Body with Southern Hostility. Yeah. So this was the band I was on about. This is the band I was on about. This is the band I got confused with Heart of a Coward earlier, even though they don't sound anything alike. Upon a Burning Body's Southern Hostility, which this was the one that was a bit shorter. I remember Heart of a Coward being a lot longer. But yeah, this is the one that had the pretty semi-decent cover of Feed My Frankenstein by Alice Cooper. That's the last track, which I don't know if that really served them well, because if there's one thing I've never agreed with when closing an album, it's covering a song. But I thought it was pretty decent, really good, like southern sludge style metal, right? Like fitting considering the band are from Texas, I think, and it really fits the album's title, so you can't really say that it doesn't suit it. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good, pretty heavy, pretty raw. I'm gonna give it a B+. I don't really remember having a lot of issues with this one. Just that I haven't really listened to it enough, but I plan to. And finally, for the albums of the month, we close out with Venom Prison with Samsara, which this one also came out in March. And this could also be an album of the year, much like Conspiracy by the Raven Age. Now, Venom Prison are a female-led band from, I think, the UK, and they play grindcore. For those familiar with grindcore, well, for those not familiar with it, rather, it's a typically fast-paced genre of music where the albums are barely even like 10 minutes long. Like, they're just played super fast songs that are only 30 seconds, and they're supposed to be really stupid and really fun. Venom Prison breaks that mold by adding a lot of melody and actually stretching out the songs to make them really great. For a genre that I don't typically listen to, I feel like they've completely changed my mind on how grindcore should sound. It's very fucking guttural, and it absolutely... The band completely killed it. I really enjoyed Samsara. Don't be surprised if it does pop up in a list for this year. It's really good. Yeah, I think that's a great way to close out the music of the month, considering that we didn't start off really hot with Baroness' Golden Grey. But yeah, absolutely listen to Samsara. The performances, especially, the drumming, the guitars, the fucking female lead vocalist whose name I wish I could remember, but she did an absolutely fucking great job. Listen to this. If there's any albums I can recommend from that I listened to June, definitely Samsara by Venom Prison, Conspiracy by the Raven Age, Disguised by Motionless in White, and Soundtrack to the Struggle 2 by Low-Key. Those are the pretty decent stuff, nothing absolutely 100% great, but those four in particular were really good. Especially Venom Prison, Raven Age, and Low-Key. And Motionless in White. What more can I say, you know? that'll about do it for this one now. I'll see you all hopefully really soon for the next backtracking episode, which is me covering a band called X Japan. But yeah, I actually thought June it was more of a mixed bag. It didn't really have as many great albums, and it also just proved though that March so far was the best month this year for albums, because there were a couple that came out in March that I only recently caught up with. So it was a bit weird. But yeah, I'll see you all for the next thing, and for more PBW streams as well on weekends. And I'll see you all for whatever's next. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye bye.